The Mercedes G-Wagen has long been one of motoring's more intriguing anomalies, ever since it was created back in 1979. Designed and built originally by Austria's Magnus Steyr company to be a light-use military vehicle, it was used and abused mostly in the deserts of the Middle East. Since when, it has gained a strong cult following as a left-field alternative to a Land Rover. But mechanically, it was always a bit of a shed, the G-Wagen, and by 2018 it desperately needed updating beneath the skin, which is exactly what Mercedes has done. But rather than redesign the exterior as well, Mercedes decided instead to keep the styling pretty much identical to the original G-Wagons. So what we've ended up with is a new G with fantastically authentic looks, but also a set of underpinnings that are bang up to date, including a new straight-six turbo diesel engine that produces 282 bhp, 600 newton meters of torque, and enough grunt to fire it to 62 miles an hour in just 7.4 seconds. So what's it like to drive this new old but actually brand new G350D? We went up into the heart of the Austrian Alps recently to find out. By the way, apologies if you notice a slight fizz to the audio, but Mercedes stuck an emergency phone in the car without telling us, and it caused us a wee bit of feedback, but hopefully the scenery will compensate for that.
You've got to love what Mercedes have done with the good old-fashioned G-Wagen. It looks pretty much exactly as it did when it first came out in 1979, and yet everything apart from, I think it's the windscreen washers and the spare wheel holder on the back, is brand new. So basically you've got this lovely old-fashioned looking car that was first came out in 1979, and yet underneath it's completely contemporary. And as a result, I mean, it's slightly hard to tell from driving it on this utterly snowbound little mountain pass that Mercedes have brought us to drive it in Austria. It's kind of hard to tell on this particular piece of road, but that doesn't matter because we've driven it on road yesterday, and it's a really refined, civilized, usable motor vehicle that just so happens to have awesome off-road capability as well. But driving it on this pass with all this snow around, it is a proper giggle. I mean, we're in convoy here. I can't go too fast. Well, I can hang back a bit and behave like a bit of an idiot, but it is really icy. We had an avalanche last night, but it's got proper knobbly off-road tyres on it. It's got these 3 different diffs. It's a very trick piece of kit mechanically, is the new G350D, and you can just feel it on the move. You could live with this car absolutely every day of the year. It feels, to all intents and purposes, like a contemporary Mercedes inside, certainly a contemporary Mercedes SUV. And yet you can bring it here, have a look at this scenery, and it'll just go up here, absolutely no problem at all. To be fair, most cars with 4-wheel drive would breeze it up this road, certainly if they had a proper set of winter tyres. But there's just something about sitting so high up in such an old-fashioned looking vehicle that is just really, really appealing.
Gone are the old rigid axles front and rear, and in their place has come a proper modernised suspension system. The gearbox is also excellent and is Mercedes' now common 9-speed G-tronic, which provides super smooth shifts both up and down, and even has paddles either side of the steering wheel. You can also switch electronically between sport, comfort and off-road modes, while the G still has 3 diffs to play with if you're really serious about your off-roading, one at either end and another in the centre.
Yeah, you do need a few quid though if you want to indulge your taste for a G-Wagen, because this thing costs the very thick end of 100 grand. That's quite a fetish. That's quite an expensive fetish. But know, if you had the money, if you're one of these people that's got a garage full of all sorts of different interesting toys, I think you'd have one of these, because there's nothing like it. It's a bit like a Land Rover, but which has been utterly modernised for modern day use. It's dead cool. It really is dead cool, this thing. The engine is a straight 6 3 litre that's turbocharged. Obviously it's got stacks of torque, which is great for doing this kind of thing. Just enough power. Super refined though. I mean, really properly refined. That's kind of full beans in second gear whilst sliding up an Austrian mountain pass, and you're not getting much engine noise at all. And on the road, when we drove it yesterday, down some motorways, on some B roads, proper refinement this thing's got. Not just for the engine, but just for, you know, the suspension is beautifully refined. It rides really nicely. You look at it and think, what, old military vehicle? That thing's going to ride like a skateboard, but it's not. I want one of these. I really do want one of these. What is lovely though is this interior, because on the one hand it does have this old-fashioned style to it, but you've got, again, all the modern bits from Mercedes. The massive, great big infotainment system with the huge, great touchscreen over there. Super clear digitised instruments here. Really nice, proper sporty seats actually, which give your kidneys a tickle when you're going around corners. And just a super high quality feel. God, this thing's, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of vehicle, and I really would rather like one.
The G350D really is a great addition to Mercedes' increasingly wide range of vehicles, although maybe that should say a great continuation. It's been around longer than most of the rest of them put together after all, and Mercedes' gently does it treatment of the old girl here is, it must be said, something of a masterstroke overall. Click on the video windows to watch first drives of the G63 version of the new G-Wagen, or of the new Mercedes GLE. Click on the play icon to watch our latest video, or on our logo to subscribe.